Okay, so we're going to take a look at how to change scenes. And let me go ahead and share my Unity screen. Okay, that should be showing. And now then behind the scenes, I'm going to pull up all my little notes to make sure I can remember all this stuff. Okay, so here's our starting point. This would be about where you are in your game, what it looks like. Now, to keep this as simple as I can to do this demonstration, there's actually no code. There's nothing running behind what you're seeing on the screen. Okay, this is just a mock-up. That is one of the scenes that we want to be able to take a look at. Okay, so here we are. We have our barriers. We have our good guy. We have our bad guys up here. And then, of course, there would be bullets and bombs and all that kind of stuff. Okay, but that's not what we're after. I want to be able to create a menu. So when the game first starts to play, the menu pops up first, does all the introductions, has, if you want to read the instructions, you can click on an instruction tab. And then when you get ready to play the game, you can start the game. All right, so that's what we're working on now. So here is our game scene. Now then, I'm going to create our menu scene. So I'm going to come over here, and there should be a create, where'd it go? Do I have to put it over here? Just a second, let me find it. I want to create just a screen. A scene, excuse me, here it is. I could have got it over there too. Okay, so create scene. At this point, I've right-clicked down here. You can also start it by right-clicking over here. Scene, it's in one of these. I'll just let me go back to one I know is working. Okay, so right over here, and we're going to create scene. There it is. Okay, and I have a new scene, and I'm going to call this the menu scene. Okay. Now I want to make sure I've got it in my hierarchy. So I'm going to drag it and drop it over here. Okay. Now notice when you create a scene, it comes automatically with the camera and with some lighting so that you can see everything. That you just get that with that. Okay. Now, one thing that I need to do, this scene can be anywhere in our workspace, and that's a lot bigger than what we're seeing right here. Okay, and that's not on purpose. So as things scroll and you want to go to another area, that's a different way of creating, like to go from inside the cave to up on top of the ground, where you just have the scenes in different areas in the world when you go to them. But in this case, I want to make sure that this scene is the same size. I want it to match what I've got playing here. Okay, so here's our opening scene. We want to add to this scene a canvas, and that's going to be in our user interface, and there is a canvas. And we're going to use this canvas. It's essentially like looking at the game through a window, and we are creating a window when we put the canvas there, and we're going to draw on the window. So when you're looking through the window, you will see what you've drawn on the window before you see anything behind it. Okay, so I'm going to add the canvas in. Now then, this canvas, notice it brings some stuff in as well. But one of the things that I need to make sure is that the render mode, render is what you're going to see when the game plays. And right now it's on overlay, which is that big, huge thing I was telling you about. Well, I want to pull it down to where it's the same size as the camera that I'm looking at. And so I've done that. And it gives me a warning. Oh, okay, that's exactly what I want. Okay. And what I'm going to do is drag my main camera into the camera that I'm talking about. Okay. And so now we have everything centered nice and neat on this. Okay, now I need to add a button to this thing. Well, I'll tell you what, let me double click this thing. Right now, we're kind of building both of them, and that's not what I want. I want to just work on my menu to start with. So let me turn this one off. Let's see, I think it'll be down here. Let me move zoom out of the way. It always drops its little thing right in the wrong place. Okay, there's my menu scene. Let me pull it into my scenes folder, keep everything organized, open it up, and that's the sample scene that everything started with. Okay, so menu scene. Do you want to save the changes? Yeah, as a matter of fact, I do. Okay, and now then what I have done, I'm seeing only the menu scene. Okay, and that's the way I want to start this thing off. I want to see only the menu scene. Okay, so let's see. Now in the menu scene, I want to add a button to this. Okay, it actually goes on the canvas. So I'm going to click canvas and I'm going to right click and then user interface. There is a button. Okay, so I'm going to click it. And now I have this really huge size button, which isn't what I want at all. So let's see, I'm going to resize my button. And width, that's really not that bad. Let me just back my camera out a little. Okay, there we go. Now then, this white line, the white line is the view that's going to show on the screen. Okay, why did it do that? Well, that's one of the things. You can double click on something and it's brought into the forefront for you. Okay, so I'm going to bring this back. Now, it's not quite where I wanted, so you can move them around at this point any place where you want the button to be. Depends upon how many buttons. You might stack them on top of each other. In my case, I'm going to keep it as simple as I can, and I'm going to stack them left and right. Now, as you run your game on different size screens, this button, it can do one of two things. No matter how big the screen is and how much it enlarges, you can keep that button right there close to the center if you want to, or if you want the button over to the side, then you can move your button over to the side. And over here, now make sure your button is selected. And this is telling you where it's anchored. And when I click on this, this is just like left adjust, right adjust, center, you know, and so you pick where do you want it anchored. And actually where I don't want it anchored to my center point. I want it anchored over here to this left side. And so to do that, now do I want it top and bottom or what? Well, I just want it centered on the left-hand side. And so I select that one, and then no matter how big the screen gets, that button will always be over on the side like that. Okay. Let's see, we can change the text on this, and I'll change that to play. Yeah, and when I hit enter, oh, sorry, that's the name over here. And that's fine. As a matter of fact, let me name this play button. Now on the screen, I also want it to say play. So there's a little scroll bar. I'm not seeing everything I can get here. And you want to know what this stuff is, you can change it from rounded corners to sharp corners. And there's all kinds of things you can do with this. Just more than what we're going to try to cover today. Okay. So down here somewhere, I'm looking for where it says text. Oh, I know why. Because when you do the play button, it is automatically attached to your play button, and you've got to click on text to see that. There's the text right there. Okay, so I want that button to just simply say play. Okay, so we've got that changed. All right, and again, for the text within it, you can align it however you want to. So all of this stuff you can play with. There's your font size. And there's also a new one that they're using now. Instead of just a button, there's a text mesh button, and that gives you all kinds of controls over what the text looks like in here. Okay, so we've changed that text. Come back up to the play button, and this is where you can tell that the button is reacting. Normal color is just going to sit there and be white. Okay, well, what about if I'm hovering over it? Okay, well, let's change that particular color, and I don't know if you can see, but the color wheel popped up. I can get it to move over here. Okay. And so when I hover over it, I just pick a color. Just as long as it changes, you can get that. It's a little bit too dark. Let's go. Okay, that'll do. All right. Then what happens if I click on it? Well, let's get that red. Okay. And then selected color. Well, I haven't used blue yet. I'm just really trying to pick much different colors. This is not what I would actually want to use. What did I do wrong? I missed my blue somehow. Oh, I didn't select up in here. It's too. Okay, that'll do. And disable is grayed out. And that's how your buttons on the window screens pretty much work the same way if you're developing a window. Okay, and just all kinds of stuff to play with. Okay, now one thing we're going to come back to. Right here, we're seeing it right now in the button. There is what's it supposed to do when it's clicked. And we're going to write some C# script that we will create and attach. And then we will say, okay, when you're clicked, this is what I want you to do. So we're going to have to do that here in a little bit. But right now, we're just still trying to get the button working. Okay, so I've done all this stuff. Now then, let's go to play. And again, Zoom's menu is helping me out here. Let me move it to the other screen. Okay. Y'all couldn't see that, but it was on my screen. So I'm going to click on play, and it should do absolutely nothing. Okay. And all right, so here it is. And again, I don't have a background color. I don't have anything in there. It's all about buttons today. But notice when I roll over it, okay, it changes to that particular color, so at least you're getting confirmation, visual confirmation to the user. Click it, and while you're holding down the click, it goes red, and then after you clicked it, it goes to blue. Okay, so that's what all those little options were. And this is, like I said, I really went overboard on the color changes on this. You don't want that. You want to have a color theme of some kind going, and make minor changes for all these, just enough so that the player can tell there's a change going on. So, all right, we've got that part working, but it doesn't do anything yet. Okay, that's the part that's missing. Okay, so now then, let's see about that. Okay, now I want some scripts, and I'm going to keep my assets organized. They can really get away from you if you don't. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to call that folder scripts. And okay, folder's empty. That's fine. We're going to put a script in it right now. Okay, so I'm going to right click and I'm going to create a C# script. And I'm going to call this one play button script. So play button script. Okay. Now then, it's giving me my standard start over here. I'm going to double click it, and then I'll share the screen that comes up for the code. Okay, so double click. Okay. Now I'm going to be bouncing back. I'm going to let this code run into a problem, and then I'll show you what the solution is on this. So let's see. It's still trying to come up on my screen, and I will share that with you just as soon as it does. Okay, I think that's there now. Okay, so share. All right, so you should be seeing code now. Okay. We're not going to need to start the update. There's not anything I want the button to do when it starts except just be there. Okay. The only thing I need to worry about is if that little guy gets clicked. Okay. So to be able to talk about the button, then we're going to need to add in another library up here. And that's going to be using Unity Engine dot screen management. Okay. So it's up there, and it's grayed out too because I haven't made reference to anything that it needs. Yeah, it's just telling me, no, man, you didn't need it. There's nothing down here. Well, I'm about to leave something down here, so don't worry about it. All right, so I'm going to go wipe out everything in between. Okay, now on this, I'm going to add in public. When I say public, that means that other scripts in the game can call this method directly if they need to. And so this is going to be public void play, game. And I don't need to hand it anything. Okay, and this is just a name I'm making up. You could call it whatever you want to. And I'm going to say, okay, screen, whoops, 2 E's, 1 N, manager. Screen manager dot load screen. Spell them right, that helps. Got to get a dot and not a comma. Okay. It's giving me fits right now, it's all okay. And what I need to tell it to load is the name of the scene. What did I call my game scene? Anybody recall? Well, I'm not recalling, so let me go look. And behind the scenes, what you're not seeing is I'm going back over to my Unity screen. And in scenes, which is where I'm trying to get my mouse to go to. Thank you, mouse, that helps. Okay, it is called game scene. Okay, so if somebody clicks on play, then what I want to have happen is that the screen manager loads the game scene. Okay. All right, and I'm not sure why it's still kicking about game scene. Unity engine dot screen management is correct. And it's got a thing, I don't know. Let me push forward on this because that is keyed in correctly. It's still saying that though, because it doesn't like that for some reason. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see. I know I'm not using these two guys. Let me get rid of them. Okay, let me try again and see what this is saying. Using directive is unnecessary. No, it is necessary for this to read this stuff.
Have you tried manager instead of management for the using part of the script?
Yeah, and it is supposed to be managed much, but I'll put manager in there and just see right now. Yeah, doesn't like that one either. And this is supposed to be screen management, and this was supposed to be screen manager. So I always hate when it does this to me. Okay. This type of namespace does not exist in the namespace Unity. Did I misspell Unity? Okay, then what I'm going to do is pull up. I already did all this code last night. So let me come back into my code and see on this. Let's see. So what I'm trying to do is get to my Unity code and pull up the code from last night to make sure. Let's see. I think I have to go into that one. Unity projects, there it is, found it. Okay, and this is change scenes in assets. I have my scripts, and in my scripts, I have the button.
Tracy, it's supposed to be Unity Energy and scene management.
What do I have?
Screen management.
Oh, okay. Okay, scene management. All right, thank you. That's right where I was at this point. I made my notes wrong there. Yeah, it is scene management. Okay, thank you. Okay, so back into the script, which is where we left off. What I put screen? Okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, now it likes that. And then eventually it should like this. Let me try to resave. Okay. And this one, let me double check it. Is that supposed to be seen as well? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
supposed to be seen as well. Okay. My bad, y'all. That was late last night when I did these notes. Uh, and those two words look exactly the same to me last night. And it's going to be load scene too, I bet. At least I was very consistent. Okay. Is it liking that? Yay! Okay, hooray. Okay, so that's all supposed to be seen to the screen. And I wasn't sure who gave me that heads up, but thank you very much. I heard the voice, but okay, and all right, so that's looking right. Okay, so I'm going to go back now. We have this created, and we're going to have to attach it to something so that I can get to it. And there's different ways to do this. I'll show you the procedure I've chosen on this. Okay, so I'm going to change my share back to Unity. Okay, now then, okay, there's where I was trying to figure out what was wrong. Okay, so in scripts, I have my play button script. Now, there's two different approaches that you can take. One approach is to come up here and create an empty object and just call it button manager and attach whatever code dealing with buttons to that. Or in this case, I can come back up and I can attach the play button our script to the play button itself. Now, this is one way to do it, just literally click and drag it. And then if I will look at play button, it should have added itself to the play button. There we go. And so it's got this down here for me. Okay, so like I say, it doesn't matter where you attach it, you just got to attach it to something. Okay, so that once it's attached, I can come over here and say what happens when this button is clicked. Well, I'm going to do a plus sign, and you get this, and what it's telling you is, well, you haven't told me any place to go look. So where is this code attached? It's attached to the play button itself. And this kind of can throw people off a little because what do you mean you're attaching the play button to the play button? Now, I'm just telling it where the script is stored, and I happen to have stored it in play button. That's what it's attached to. Now then, under functions, that was almost a slip, my bad. Under functions, these first several are just automatically there. Okay, those are there, but I don't want any of those. What I want is my play button script. And if I come down here, there is the method that I created called play game. Okay, so again, this script could have been added to anything that's over here, and all I would have to do is drag that in, and then it would find the script, and then it can find the methods. So I'm going to attach play game to it. Okay, so what happens when I click play then is it should go over to the next or to the play game screen. Now, you may recall a couple of minutes ago, I said there's a problem we're going to have to fix. We're coming up to that now. Let's go ahead and try to play this. Okay, I'm going to come over here, click on play, and notice we get an error. Okay, and the reason we did, all of the scenes have to be gathered in one spot for this to work. Okay, so I'm going to stop this. Now then, I need to be able to see the names of my scenes. So I'm clicking on scenes. And then under file, there is build settings. Okay, now we're getting ready to actually create a game out of this thing and watch it play. Okay, so under build settings, let me pull it over, make sure y'all are able to see it. Can you see the build settings screen I'm moving around? Not at all. Okay, then I need to change. Oh, now I can. Now you can. Okay. All right. So what I have to do is up here, the scenes, I have to tell it what scenes to include. And this is one way that game creators can have a game that's out there playing, and they can come back and start working on changes to it, but they don't include them in the build. And then when everything gets working right, then all they have to do is drag them into the build. So I'm going to drag in the game scene and the menu scene. Does it make an order in which, does it matter which order you drag them in? What matters is this number over here, okay? In my script, I can also, instead of just calling it game scene by name, I could say load scene 0. Well, that's great as long as I did game scene first. So you can either use these numbers or you can use these names. Personally, I prefer to use the names because then when I'm looking at the code, I know exactly what I intended. Okay. So anyway, we include those. Okay. Don't believe I have to do anything other than that. Let me find out real quick. So I'm going to kill build settings. That should maintain what I had. Just to make sure, I'm going to come back and file and look at build settings again. And yes, they are still there. Okay, so just the fact I drove them in there, put them in there to keep. Okay, now then when I click on play, it changes. Okay, but now noticing the stuff I've done, the way we built our game and everything, here's one of the dangers in it. How big is the screen that it's playing on? So if you know you're going to be playing this on your own machine, then you can come in and go back and refigure the size of everything and make sure it all fits in, make a smaller game if you have to, something like that. There are ways to automate this. We haven't covered that. That's a little bit beyond. We're just trying to get our basics done. Okay, so I guess I could have gotten rid of that. That would have been anyway, so it did make the change. Now, of course, if you actually had a game going, remember, I don't have anything in the background on this. If you actually had a game, as soon as you click play, it starts from the beginning. Okay, so that goes on until it ends. Well, what do you do when it ends? Okay, that means that you have to have something in your code in the game scene that when the player gets killed, you're going to use the same type of code. Let me go back and view the code. I'll share that. Let me share back to the code. Okay, so you have to have wherever your player dies, the music plays. You wait until the music has quit playing. You have to include a using scene management, and wherever it is that you want to go back to the menu, then you would have this exact command, and in here you would put menu scene. And so when the game finishes, then it goes back to the menu, and our menu has a start button. It should also have a quit button. So I'll leave that, the coding and placing this command and that using command into your game code so that when the game is over, it will automatically come back to the menu screen. Okay, so going back to the menu screen, let's see, need to change share. Okay. All right, so here comes the last little part of this, is quit. Okay, so I'm going to go through this again and add a quit button to my menu over here. So come over into where Canvas is. I'm going to right click, and then user interface is a button object. That gives me now 2 buttons. And again, I'm going to change this name to be the quit button. Okay, now that doesn't change the text, but it does change the name over here so I can keep up with what's going on. So under the quit button is a text object. I select the text object and just scroll it wherever you can see it. Okay, and right here it just says button, and I just make it say quit. Don't need to return there. Okay, so we've got all that done. Now then, for the quit button itself, remember there's a little thing down here on click. What are you going to do? Okay, well, in this particular case, I want the game to end. Okay, so I'm going to go back into scripts, and I'm going to create a quit button script. Okay, and this is going to be quit button script. Okay. All right. Now then I need to modify it. This one's real easy. When you quit, you quit. Okay, so I'm going to move over into the code. Okay, yeah, oh, there it is. Okay, again, don't need to do this. Come on, slow down. Wait a second. Okay, I can't see what I got to read. Okay, still need to get rid of this part. Okay, if somebody quits, then I only need one method in here. Now remember, I have to have a method. This is the class, and I'll drag the name of this class wherever I have attached it has to be drug in, and then I have to tell it the method name. So on this one for the method name, I believe this one, I'll also make it public and void, and that's so anybody else can use it. Let me do a tab so it looks halfway decent. Okay, now we're lined up. Public void, and I just call it quit game. Okay, and to quit the game, this one isn't difficult. You say application dot quit. That's it. Okay, so now then, let me save it. Hopefully I've got all the right libraries up there. Okay, so now then on application.quit, nothing there. Okay, so I now need to attach somehow this method to when the button is pressed. Okay, so go back over, let's see, it's all been saved. Okay, go back over to the Unity screen. Okay, and on this Unity screen, it's still got the quit button, and it shows that those changes have taken effect. Let me get to console and clear out this error so it doesn't just sit there. Clear. There we go. Thank you. Okay, back into the project. All right, so now I have to do the same thing. I've got to tell the quit button when somebody clicks you, I want you to go into this and go run that method. So, oh, I should attach this to the quit button. Okay, so now that is, well, let me just click on it, not just tell you, but show you. Okay, if I scroll down, there's the script. Okay, that has been attached to the quit button. Now then it's the same thing. What do I want to have happen when this quit button is clicked? Well, the thing that holds this screen is the quit button. Oh, sorry. Got to add first. Okay, did I screw that up? Yeah, no, that's still all the same. When I start to move something and put it back, it's very easy to move it out of the structure to someplace else, and that's not quite what I wanted to have happen. Okay, so quit button. This is, well, let me just see if this will work anyway. Okay, so over here, I'm going to scroll all the way down. Okay, I need to say what contains it. The quit button contains the code, that contains the function. And so now I can go down to quit button script and quit game. Okay, that looks like that's all okay. Just wonder what it's going to look like. Why did I get that? I drug it on something. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. I drug it onto something. Okay, won't let me get it there. Let's try this. All right. Color. What did I drag it back to? I killed something when I did that. Well, let's see. I never did set, that's the text part. Let's look at the button. I never did set the buttons for things. Okay. Where did I kill? Okay, well, I don't know. Let's come through here and see. If I have to, man, I don't want to have to read that all again, but I sure could. Okay, normal color, yeah, that's fine. Highlighted color, let's go pick a little bit gray. Okay, pressed color, let's go almost black. And then selected color, we can go gray again. A little bit lighter. Okay, and hopefully, I don't know, let's run it and see what it'll do. Yeah. Okay, it should be right in there. Dadgummit, I pulled it out of the structure. Okay, let me stop that and make sure the quit button is within the canvas. That's what it was. When I drug it over here and there wasn't a place for it and I was trying to put it back, I missed and took it out of the structure and that happened. Okay, let's move this guy a little bit over to here and down. And I'm going to do the same thing, no matter how big the screen is, I want the quit button over on the right. So I'm going to come in and say, yes, I want centered top to bottom, but I want the anchor point to be on the right. And so now that it anchors to that side. So if I go through and play this now, maybe. Okay, I do have a quit button over here and play button over here. And I've already tested the play button. And if I test it again, I'm going to have to just stop everything and start again because I don't come back once I play. But I'll click on quit and notice it's doing absolutely nothing. And so you go back and check everything you've done on this to see. And you have done everything correctly. Then you go Google to find out what went wrong. And what went wrong is this quit button only works when the application itself is running, not in the simulation that's Unity. There is a different command that you can issue to make it quit here, but you want this for the real one. So let's go stop this and take a look at how we would do that. Okay, so I'm going to, doesn't matter where you are up here. A while ago, we looked at build settings. This is how you actually create the game, is build and run. So I'm going to click on build and run, and it wants to know, okay, where do you want to put this? So you got to figure out what's going to make sense to you. And what I decided to do on mine was I'm going to go back into the game itself. Are y'all being able to see my, I'm trying to select a folder. Is that showing up? Okay, all right. Then down into my Unity. I think that had to go into, I thought I had it up here with semesters. I don't guess I did. Okay, so I'll go into users and I'll go into me and let's see if I have Unity projects right there. Okay, and this is using buttons to change scenes. Okay, and here's all these folders. And so I'm going to come in here and create a new folder. And I'm going to call this folder builds. So anytime I actually do a build and run, this is where it's going to go. So there's the folder that I want it to go into. So I select that folder. There we go. And give it a minute. And it should say building, and it's pulling in everything it needs to have with it to make the game run. And my game actually showed up on another screen that you can't see. Okay. Okay. And the game showed up. I'm sorry, there's no way. Oh, shoot, that's going to be there forever. Okay. I shall ignore that part and go. If we look at our hierarchy, we have menu scene, but before we had menu scene in our scenes, we had the game scene, and it makes a difference which order you put this stuff in. Okay, so game scene has to be below your main. I don't want it in a separate folder. Let's see. Which did I put first in my build? I think I put game scene first in my build. Okay. So yeah, that's going to make a difference. I'm going to come in here now and I'm going to do build settings, and I have to rearrange these so that menu is the first one. Again, why I don't like using the numbers. Whatever is first in here is what it will open with. Okay, so it makes a difference. You've got to have a menu scene up there. Okay, so I made a change, so I've got to go back and build it again. And this time it doesn't ask me for a folder because it already has it. Oh yeah, it doesn't like it because I've already done another build. Okay, get them in the right order, do your build, and you can see quit actually work in that game lines. Let me see if I can get this corrected. Okay, I've closed the window that was running. Let me go, the game that was already there, build method exception to errors. Failed to prepare target build is the build game instant running. Because I had it running already, it wouldn't let me build and run enough. So I went down to the bottom row where it shows you when there's everything that's running, and right clicked and killed off the one that was running. So let me try to do the build and run again, make sure my menus, my scenes are in the right order, and close that off. And I don't think I want the game scene in this one, so I'm going to remove that scene from there. I should not have filled off the scene. No, it's still there. Okay, it's just I don't want it part of the menus. Okay, so I'm going to try again to build and run. I've gone through and checked to make sure the scenes are showing up in the right order as to which one is the first is supposed to start. And let's see now. So I'm going to do file, build and run one more time. And I should have gotten rid of those errors before it ran. Now we're okay. All right, and let me see now if I can share the game. Let's see. Okay, here's the game while it's running. Can you see the little bit we played? Is that as small to y'all as it is to me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are some changes that need to be made, but okay. If I click this, it's going to go into the game screen. We've already checked that works. So I'm going to come over to the quit button. And if I click on it, remember it didn't work inside Unity, but while this is running, it works. Okay, it stopped the screen sharing because I killed off the screen with this one. All right, that's buttons and changing scenes. Any questions on this? Everybody doing okay? All right, then what I want to do is make sure everybody has typed in here so you get credit for attending today. And if I don't have any more questions, then I'll go ahead and end today's session. And let's see, I think I still have the recording.